Hi, I'm Avi Melamed. Last Thursday, a serious terror attack took place along the Israeli-Egyptian border on the Israeli side. A group of a Palestinian terror organization that is located in Gaza Strip, known as the Popular Resistance Committees, launched a terror attack on Israeli civilians on the south part of Israel. The attack was launched through an Egyptian soil along the Israeli-Egyptian border. That attack is in fact a geostrategic attack. It has a political perspective. What is the perspective? What are the objectives of that attack? Who is supposed to benefit from that attack? And was the objective of that attack realized? I will talk later on a little bit more about the popular resistance committees, but at this point I would like to talk about the major Palestinian factor that rules the Gaza Strip, and that is the Hamas movement. One question is, of course, did Hamas know about this upcoming terror attack? In my view, the answer for that is positive, for a couple of reasons. First of all, there is a long-proved operational cooperation between Hamas and the Popular Resistance Committees. In fact, a joint operation of the two organizations in 2006 led to the kidnapping of the Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit that is being held in captivity in Gaza Strip up until today. Second, many of the Popular Resistance Committee's terror activists are simultaneously also terror activists of Hamas itself. It is very difficult to believe that Hamas, that has a massive inner security deployment in Gaza, including countless of informers, had no clue about the preparations and the planning of that terror attack. There is another question which is not less important. Was it of Hamas' interest that such a terror attack in that scale will take place at this time? The answer for that question, surprisingly, is no. In fact, to a large extent, that specific terror attack is counterproductive to many of Hamas' basic interests. In fact, it put at risk some of Hamas' major interests. What are these interests? First of all is the relationship of Hamas with Egypt. In the last couple of months, the Hamas was improving the relationship with the new Egyptian government. Conducting such a terror attack through an Egyptian soil by violating the Egyptian sovereignty caused a deep embarrass to the Egyptian government. That is clearly not of interest of Hamas to embarrass the Egyptian government at this time. The second thing is the fact that for the last year Hamas was trying hard to market itself to the international community as a legitimate political factor. The fact that such a lethal attack was launched from the territory under the rule of Hamas, causing the death of Israeli civilians, clearly does not comply with Hamas' attempts to market itself as a political legitimate factor. Another reason is the fact that this coming September, the Palestinian Authority diplomatic initiative is expected to be at its top. At this time, the General Assembly of the United Nations is supposed to support the concept of a free, independent Palestinian state within the lines of 1967. Majority of the Palestinians consider that as a major important diplomatic achievement for the Palestinian national cause. Hamas never ever supported that initiative. Yet, on the other hand, Hamas understands that the terror attack in the scale of this terror attack that was launched from his territory is jeopardizing the Palestinians' diplomatic effort to gain the support of the international community in the concept of an independent, stable Palestinian state. Therefore, it was not Hamas' interest to do something that may portray Hamas within the Palestinian inner politics as a factor that basically jeopardized that major Palestinian diplomatic achievement. Another important thing is the fact that Hamas is facing many inner challenges. One of the major problems that Hamas is facing is the increasing criticism of the people of Gaza that are expressing their discontent with the Hamas brutal and corrupted rule. The last thing Hamas needs right now is a massive collision that will inevitably lead to damages to the people of Gaza and to the infrastructure of Gaza. Such a damage could provoke a massive riot of the people of Gaza against Hamas rule in the Gaza Strip. Clearly, it is not the interest of Hamas to do that time. Another important factor is the fact that we are now in the middle of the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is the most sacred month for the Muslims. Muslims fast during the month of Ramadan. By far, the month of Ramadan is not the right time to spark a fire. There is another important factor that has to be taken into consideration. Ever since the Israeli Operation Casket in the beginning of 2009, that was launched in order to reduce the amount of rockets that were launched from the Gaza Strip on the next Israeli cities, Hamas have adopted a different policy of self-restraint, not to shoot rockets into the Israeli territory. Hamas was also trying to restrain other Palestinian terror organizations in Gaza Strip that were involved in that shooting. Hamas was basically doing a considerable effort to avoid and to prevent such type of terror attacks. Therefore, it doesn't make sense that Hamas will support a terror attack similar to the one we have seen last Thursday in the south part of Israel. Yet, the bottom line is very interesting and very important. Despite of the fact that Hamas understands and knows that this terror attack is damaging its own interests, Hamas apparently gave its silent consent to that terror attack. That lead inevitably to the following question. Who is that strong factor that is so powerful to the point he was able to force Hamas to act in a way that contradicts, to a large extent, some of Hamas' major interests? I will answer this question in my next video. I am Avi Melamed. Thank you for watching.